Hey there, Ventex here, and today we're going to be going over my tier list for the Ghosts in Phasmophobia based on the most dangerous to the least dangerous. I'm going to talk about all of these based on their strengths, their weaknesses, strategies I have against them, and then why they are where they are. But just a disclaimer before we get started, this is my list based on my 300 hours of experience. You might have a different list based on your hours of experience. If you have any changes, comment below, let me know, but let's go ahead and get into it. First up is going to be the Revenant, and that should be first on pretty much everybody's list because this is the only ghost that can outrun you. You cannot outrun it, you cannot loop it. You might get lucky by cutting a corner and losing line of sight, but you could also be unlucky and it'll catch up to you. The best thing you can do against a Revenant and its weakness is that hiding from it makes it move slower. So if you're not sure if it's a Revenant or you do know it's a Revenant, you want to have an exit strategy in mind on how to get away. Have some doors open nearby that you can duck into. If you're in too deep, when it starts to hunt, it has 8 seconds before it actually starts that hunting phase. So it might move outside of its room that it's in, and you can go ahead and shut the door behind it, and then you should be relatively safe. But just know, hiding is never 100% safe. All the ghosts can go through doors and get you, so that is why Revenant is at the top of the food chain. Next up is the A tier list. Demon is up there, and all these ghosts on the same tier could be kind of shoveled up, but I put Demon first just because of how aggressive it is. It will attack early and it will attack often. Its only weakness is that sometimes answering a question successfully on the Ouija board will not drain your sanity. That's not much of a weakness. The only thing you can really do is lay down crucifix and try to be efficient and effective with your time. Try to preserve that sanity using lights and candles, and try to prevent it from attacking as much as possible. You can outrun it and you can loop it, so it's not up there with the Revenant. However, if you're planning on hiding from it, it's not 100% safe. I had a demon go through a bedroom and a bathroom door to get to me. So again, hiding is not 100%, and the demon's aggressiveness makes it up there on that A tier. Next up, I have the Yurei and the Phantom, and I say both of them because they're kind of doing the same thing. They're both draining your sanity. The Yurei has an impact on your sanity over time, and the Phantom, if you look at it, it sharply drains your sanity. And lower sanity equals higher chance to attack, so that's why it's kind of up there with the demon in that it's going to hurt you. And if you hide from it, it's not 100% safe, and they can find you. Now, the Phantom is weak with a camera photo. You could take a photo of it and it will visibly disappear, but audibly it'll still be there, and then you'll know exactly what it is. Whereas the Yurei, smudge sticks will prevent it from wandering. Doesn't really do all that much though, especially once you get to that point where your sanity is low. These guys are going to be coming after you, so that is why they are A tier. Next up is going to be the Banshee on my B tier, and I have Banshee, Jinn, Mare, and Shade. Now again, all of these can kind of be shuffled around whatever way you want, but Banshee is on B tier because unlike the demon, it does select a certain target, and if that target knows what it's doing, then everybody else on the team is relatively safe, as well as the person that knows what they're doing. The Banshee's only weakness is the crucifix, but that's kind of like the weakness for all the ghosts, so it's not really a huge weakness that overshadows it. But because the Banshee doesn't attack as often as the demon and targets a specific person, and because it doesn't drain your sanity as much as the Yurei and the Phantom, is why the Banshee is on the B tier. Yeah, that makes sense, Banshee B. Next up on the B tier list is a Jinn, and I have the Jinn up here on the B tier just because of its power, which allows it to teleport closer to a player the further they are away. Now, once it's close to you, it's going to slow down, and because it's not a Revenant, you can outrun and outloop it. However, that initial teleport might throw a lot of people off and think it's a Revenant. They could lose their composure, they could clip into something, and that is where the Jinn is going to capitalize. He's going to kill you. So that is why the Jinn is on my list. Now again, its weakness is that breaker, so you can turn it off to neutralize that power. However, the Jinn, just like all the other ghosts, can turn the power breaker on and off. So it might turn it back on when you're not expecting it, and then it'll use its power, and then it could surprise you. Next up on the B list is the Mare, and the Mare is on here just because of how aggressive it could be. Now the Mare's strength is that it has increased chance to attack in the darkness, whereas its weakness is the light. So you want to keep the lights on. However, just like I said with the Jinn, all the ghosts can turn the breaker on and off. So the Mare might turn that breaker off or turn the lights off, and then it might have a more chance to attack you. So because of how aggressive it is, it made it to the B tier. Again, hiding is not 100% safe, and the more aggressive the ghost is, the more likely you're going to be found. Also on the B tier list, I have the Shade, and this might catch some people by surprise, but the Shade's strength is that it's very shy and it doesn't give away its position easily. It's hard to detect. Now, I have an easy time finding pretty much all the ghosts, but a lot of people that watch my videos are kind of surprised and ask me why I can find it so quickly, and those people are going to have a hard time with the shade because the longer you're looking for it, the longer that sanity is draining. Now, it's not going to actively drain it like the Yurei and the Phantom, so that's why it's not in the A tier. But having your sanity drain over time while you continue looking for it is going to again increase that chance of the hunt. So if you are with the group, stick together so when your sanity does get low, it has a less chance to attack. However, at the beginning, I would encourage you to split up to try to find it using that thermometer. Look through the doors, don't open the doors. If you hear a door open, that's where you know where it is. You need to find it fast to prevent it from getting out of hand. On the C tier, I have the Wraith. Now, I have the Wraith on the C tier because it doesn't really have any strengths or any weaknesses. Its strength is that it doesn't leave footsteps in the salt. Its weakness is that it's toxic to the salt. Doesn't really impact it that much strongly or weakly, and salt's not really something that's going to help you too much unless it's a secondary objective for some extra money or experience. Now, the Wraith says in its flavor text that it can move through walls, it can see you through doors, and it can go through objects, but that is not the case. It cannot move through walls, it cannot see you through doors, and it cannot move through objects. I've looped several Wraiths through couches, islands, and it has to go all the way around, just like all the other ghosts. I've also closed a door in the face of a Wraith, and it's looked at me, and it moved away. So those things are all myths. Now, it might be true at another point, and it might move up higher on the list, but for right now, Wraith's just a regular kind of ghost with no weaknesses, no strength, and it just does whatever it wants to do. But it's not super aggressive, not hard to find, it doesn't have a special power like the Jinn, and so that's why it made the C rank. On to my D rank, and it kind of pains me that the Oni and Poltergeist are here because those are two of my favorite types of ghosts just because of how active they are. However, that activity also makes them easier because they're easier to find, easier to gather that evidence, you spend less time losing your sanity, you get what you need to get, and then you're out of there. And that activity also tries to give away what they are. In my very first no evidence run, I knew it was a poltergeist because it was messing around with so many objects at once. And so those strengths are actually huge weaknesses for both of them. And for that reason, they're on the D rank. Again, you can't outrun them. You can't loop them. There's nothing really special about them. They're just very, very weak in regards to what their strength is supposed to be. Now, that might change again with patches when they actually start breaking stuff and throwing knives at you or something. But for right now, they are very weak for that reason. Also on the D list is the Spirit, and that's because the Spirit has no strengths, kind of like the Wraith, but it also has a very big weakness, which is smudge sticks prevent it from hunting. So not only do you have the crucifix preventing from hunting, but you have the smudge too, so this ghost could be very, very passive if you play your cards right. So there it is. That is my tier list from S rank Revenant, A, Demon Yurei Phantom, B, Banshee Jinn Mare Shade, C is Wraith, and D, Oni Spirit Poltergeist. Again, comment below, let me know what changes you would make and what your tier list would look like. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out our Discord, links down in the description, and I'll see you guys next time.